we witnessing an all-out brawl between the old and new media? Well, it does seem like the fight that The View picked with Joe Rogan over supposedly being a dragon believer is only starting to heat up, and it's sending a wave of panic across the legacy media for how it's losing relevance with every such controversy. But I want to explore a different angle that no one seems to be talking about, so watch how Joe Rogan responded to The View before I tell you more about it.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's this?
The only reason why I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just heard about it.
I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think
Sasquatch,
they lived alongside
bitch.
of people.
Wait,
it was from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast. It was from Forrest Gallant. This is the most important part. This was right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And then there's also, listen,
it doesn't make sense to me that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. It's just frantic. It's foolish.
I've hardly ever seen Joe Rogan so animated about something, but can you blame him? Joy Behar's comedically absurd charge against Joe actually lies at the end of a long timeline of incidents that The View is slinging mud at new media, especially Joe Rogan. By the way, we expose those lies where we can find them, so subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. Now, I think it started from as far back as the supposed horse dewormer that Joe was taking according to the MSM, and then people Sonny Hostin demonizing the majority male audience of Joe Rogan. It's only so long before he had enough, and honestly, it would seem like punching down for Joe if The View hadn't picked this needless fight first. For the record, obviously Joe Rogan doesn't really believe actual fire-breathing dragons existed, but it's a fun discussion to have about how far-flying dinosaurs, which did exist, differ from our mythical depiction of dragons, and whether there is an overlap.
The View decided from this and from me talking about it with Adrienne Appalucci the other day, explaining what Forrest says and saying that I don't think that there was pterodactyls living with people. I said it, no. She said maybe they did live with this. I'm like, no. I thought my position is it's probably crocodiles or some big Komodo dragon or some big lizard that did kill people.
Touched one.
And so people fought them with swords and they came back with a story and then the artist drew it. And these
if
things,
you saw one of those at night and you had a stick, it'd be like, I thought a pterodactyl.
All
I thought a picture of Joe Rogan and a unicorn.
All throughout these same time periods, there's been giant lizards. All throughout these same time periods, there have been Komodo dragons, there have been crocodiles have been here for 100 million years or whatever they've been for. Probably more. So the idea that people didn't encounter giant reptiles is stupid.
Are the minds of The View that stale and dull to not be able to see the sarcasm? Apparently yes, and if The View's able to hobble along for nearly 3 decades now despite the larger mainstream media being in a tailspin, that should tell you something. Left-dominated news networks like MSNBC and CNN have lost over half their ratings after the election. Meanwhile, The View is happily posting their best numbers in a decade despite antics and controversies like this. I don't know what explains that, but if we take a guess, The View received an avalanche of viewers just hate watching the show to see their reactions to a second Trump presidency, and the controversies that Sonny Hostin has repeatedly got with the new Trump cabinet over almost slandering them and then offering multiple legal notes for it. What Joy Behar said may not rise to the level yet, but it's so telling of the lack of thought that goes into every sentence said on the show.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
we're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal note?
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
I'm honestly surprised this video is still up on their channel given the hailstorm of ridicule and trolling that the show is getting. By the way, I remember what a former estranged panelist on The View Meghan McCain once said after leaving the show, quote, "I honestly don't think that just from working there that they're that smart. It's a very disorganized place. Backstage, it's very chaotic, and I think that giving people that work there a lot of credit that they shouldn't have. I will say it is kind of a rigged show. At night, all the hosts are given hot topics to choose from, so you're like sent news articles you want to talk about the next day. Whatever the majority chooses is the topic of the show," end quote. Wow, they are literally handed a bunch of topics the night before recording. How much room does that even leave for supposed fact-checking by ABC that Joy and Sarah were speaking of? There's no room to prepare, and the panelists say whatever's on their mind at the moment. Perhaps that explains why ABC News has so frantically forced the show to read legal notes on air every time someone says something that could get the network in trouble. But I think even if that doesn't happen, The View has run itself into the ground every time it picks a fight with giants of news media like Joe Rogan. They strike an axe to their own knee by destroying whatever little credibility that they had even among their own audience. And that's not to mention the massive online trolling it faces that basically makes it a laughingstock for the rest of us. Joe himself hadn't held back his words, especially when they've been too obvious with their blind partisanship, to the point of even slandering independent journalists like Coleman Hughes as charlatans.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
and at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. But arguably, like the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school and that's,
It's a very strange show. But it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure. I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
There's just no coming back from that. And of course, rumor says we may even be seeing one of the last few months of The View if they are to be true. And ABC plans on downsizing and dropping shows that should be retired now. I hope not. But whatever happens or not, there's little doubt that in a battle between the old and the new media, the new media has decisively won, and this election made it clear that the new generation of Americans is given the final verdict on what platforms and people they trust more. On that list, The View is on its way out, but let me know in the comments how you think this controversy fits in all that, because, as they say, don't interrupt your opponent when they're in the middle of making a mistake, and make sure to watch and laugh at The View whenever you have a time to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.